Hey guys, today's video is about EKIY, and this is their flagship head unit which has 8 GB of memory, the awesome 8-core 7862A CPU, and it has wireless Apple CarPlay, wireless Android Auto, and it's compatible with a magnitude of different accessories including the 360 parking system, which I'm going to show you now. Let's check it out. Now personally, I've never heard of EKIY before, but it was you guys on the channel leaving comments asking me to review this brand that has led to this video being made. Now, having done some research, I know that EKIY has been around for quite a few years designing and making these Android head units. They actually make head units for specific vehicles for a kind of plug and play integration, because they include the CAM decoders and trims that go around the head unit to make them look factory in your car. So it's worth having a look at their website and seeing if they have something for your particular car, and then you can get on with it. I did notice on their website though that they do a wide range of head units for all different budgets, and that does mean that you can get some low spec units as well. Now remember that this particular unit does actually have this 7862 8-core processor and 8 GB of memory, which makes it exceptionally good specification, but you can get like 1 GB of RAM on their website as well, so just be careful with that when you're looking. Now remember, I don't get paid to endorse any company or product, including this EKIY, and this review is going to be simply me taking it out of the box, installing it in the car and having a play with it to see how good it is. Right, let's get it out of the box and have a look. And here it is, and as you can see straight away, it shares the same form factor as a lot of the other brands of Android head unit behind me. And just to remind you all, the reason for that is so that this shape will fit into the aftermarket dashboard trims to make them look factory in some cars. And that was the whole point of having a standardized design across multiple brands. But don't forget, just because they look the same doesn't make them the same head units, and that's a mistake that a lot of people make. It's all about the specifications inside. Anyway, let's have a look at the back of this one. So you've got a radio FM antenna input here. The Wi-Fi antenna is actually built onto the unit, which is nice. You have a GPS antenna input here. The 4G mobile network antenna connection is here. You have various other connections up here, which we'll go into in a minute. This connector here is to power the fan, and that actually connects into one of the looms, which I'm going to show you later. Having a fan is very important on these very powerful head units, because this processor and the RAM that it has will get very hot, and having an active cooling solution means that you're not going to get crashing down the way, so that's really good. Then you can see that it has coax and optical SPDIF digital outputs. This is awesome because it gives you that perfect digital connection to an aftermarket amplifier or DSP if you have one with a digital input. And then finally we have the main loom entry point here. Also in the box we get a main loom wire. This will differ depending on the car that you have, because it generally will come with a CAM decoder specifically to decode your particular car's features, and obviously the connectors in different cars are different, and EKIY will send you the correct one for your vehicle if that's what you select on their website. Here I just have the standard ISO loom because that's what I need for the Saab. We have 2 USB ports, the 4G mobile antenna, the GPS antenna, an external microphone, which is cool, and then we have this loom. So what we have is the external microphone input here. We have a video output to external monitors. We've got 2 video inputs here. Then we have the left and right audio out pre-outs. So there's only 2, you don't have one for each speaker. However, there is a subwoofer pre-out here as well. So you have 3 pre-outs total, left and right and subwoofer. Then you have an auxiliary in for audio. We have the connector for the fan on the back of the unit, and then over on the other side here we have the SIM card entry point, so you can pop your 4G SIM card in and get a permanent data connection if that's what you want to do. And then this loom here is for the reverse camera. Now there's loads of benefits of having an Android head unit, one of which is the fact that you can expand their capabilities with accessories and upgrade your car, give it more features. And EKIY would like me to show you this because they have literally sent me probably every accessory for this head unit, so you can have a look. Now remember, these are all things that you can buy individually separately if you want them, but I do think it's a good idea to show you these things because this is one of the real things that makes Android head units brilliant. So let's start with the Tyre pressure monitoring system. This is a beautifully easy to install accessory. So you have this thing here. It's a little box with a USB wire on it, and all you do is you plug this USB wire into your EKIY system, into one of the USB ports, and then you screw these little devices here onto the valves of each of your tyres on the wheels. This is an integrated dash cam or DVR system. So this comes with a front and rear HD camera, and it connects directly to the EKIY unit, which gives you both feeds on the actual screen of the EKIY unit whenever you want to see it. That means you can play back and review recordings through your head unit as well. So I'll just show you what's involved in this. So we have the actual DVR camera itself here, which you can see it has adhesive to hold it onto your windscreen, and it has a movable lens, tilts up and down, so you can get it perfectly correct depending on the tilt of your windscreen as well, which is good. And here we have the back camera, so it will record from the rear of the car and the front of the car simultaneously. But this actually has a party trick, and that is that it can be used as the reverse camera as well. Instead of installing two cameras on the back of your car, you could have this as the reverse camera, so that when you shift into reverse, it shows up on the screen the back of the car, which is an excellent thing. And I will actually be connecting this up in the car so that you can see it working. Then you have aftermarket steering wheel controls. Now, this is particularly useful if you do not have factory steering wheel controls in your car. If you have an older car that doesn't have buttons on the steering wheel, this will give you those buttons on the steering wheel. And these are the actual steering wheel control pods, which go onto the steering wheel completely wirelessly. As you can see, they're pretty skinny, and they actually get held onto the steering wheel using these 3M pads. One of the cool things about these as well is they actually light up, which is a really cool feature. And they also supply this here, which is the control box, and all you have to do is power it and connect it to the key wires on the actual EKIY head unit. Now, I won't be showing you these working today because my car actually does have steering wheel controls, but maybe in the future. Remember, these will work with any Android head unit. The EKIY reverse camera. Now remember, this is an AHD model, so the high definition model. So this is going to have a really sharp image. We got their Bluetooth ODB2 reader. That means that you can get engine data going to your EKIY head unit using something like Torque. We have the DAB stick. So this is something that is going to give your EKIY full DAB capabilities if you are someone who still listens to radio. This is a video out adapter. So this is for an Android head unit which doesn't have video out capability, but you do actually want to send some video to, say, some rear monitors on your headrests. Obviously the EKIY does actually have video out, but this can be used on any Android head unit. Probably the ultimate add-on for any Android head unit is, of course, a 360 camera system, and the EKIY is compatible with this set. So let me show you what's in it. So you have this little plug-in here, which goes to the 4 cameras, and they're all colored and marked so you know which is which. And of course, 3 of them have these red trigger wires on them. So the rear camera, this one here, for example, this trigger wire would go to your reverse light to tell the head unit when you're reversing, so it will show the rear camera. And then the 2 side cameras, left and right, also have these trigger wires, and basically you're supposed to tap into your indicators, your blinker lights, so that the head unit knows when you are going to turn, so it can change the image on the camera to give you better visibility for that turn as well. You have 4 wires, and these are the extension cables to get the cameras to every location that they need to be at the front and back of your car. You have the actual cameras themselves. So you have a front, a rear, and 2 side cameras. And finally you have this little kit. So you've got the hole saw so that you can actually drill a hole into the bottom of your mirrors so that you can have the cameras coming through. You've got the rubber stoppers so that the cameras fit well into the holes that you've drilled, and they're nice and waterproof. And there's some brackets in here for the front and rear camera to hold them onto the front and rear of your car as well. Now, you've probably already seen that I've done a video showing the installation of a 360 system, so I'm not going to do that again, but I will show you a quick montage now and put a link in the video description if you want to look at the longer video. And here we are inside the Saab 9.3 convertible. It's fully installed, and yes, there's been a little bit of time between when I actually unboxed the head unit and when I've actually fitted it in the car. And the reason for that is because I forgot to order the calibration sheets for the 360 parking cameras. So I could have done the review without them, but the calibration of the 360 cameras is quite important to show just how good they are. So I wanted to make sure that you could actually see what we're dealing with here. Now at the moment I've got the roof down on this convertible, and the reason for that is because I wanted to show you one of the design features of this, which only really works when you've got some light. What they've done on this one is they've got this lovely blue sheen on it. So every time light catches it, the surround just goes blue, this lovely dark royal blue, and I absolutely love that. It just adds a flavour to it that you just haven't got on any of the other brands. Now as for the actual reflections on the screen, as with any convertible, trying to be able to see the screen when the roof is down is going to be dependent on the sun and where it's coming from. Now I can see the screen fine at the moment. You can't, because you're seeing the reflection of the sky from where the camera is placed. I'm going to put the roof up now and we'll continue. Okay, so now the roof is up, let's have a look at this Flagship EKIY device. So you have your illuminated capacitive touch buttons, and the screen here is 720p of resolution, and there is some great vivid colors coming from it as well, so it is a really nice high quality screen. So looking at the dashboard on the left hand side here, you can see that a large percentage of the screen is basically a speedo. It's in kilometers per hour. That cannot be changed as far as I know, which is unfortunate, but that's not a really big deal. And then you have this window here, and this is what the TIs and some of the Joyings have. It is a window that allows you to run specific apps on the actual dashboard in that window, and that is amazing. So what you can see at the moment is my front-facing camera, the DVR system, the dash camera, but you do have other options. If we go into the apps, and then we go into settings, and then we go down and find launcher app setting here, you can see there's various other apps that you can do. So if Maps, for example, if we change that and go home, you can see that we now have Google Maps running in that window on the launcher, and I absolutely love this. It's a fully functioning launcher. It means that you have access to other things whilst you're navigating, and I really like this. But as I say, my choice is to run the front-facing dash camera because I just like to have that on there. Now along the bottom, you have a button to access all of the apps on the system, and down here I've got 4 apps. So these are my choice of apps. I can pick and change what apps I want to have on the dashboard front. That makes this again a really good dashboard because you get to customize it to your particular needs, and I really like that. And this little widget down here with Michael Jackson's face is a music widget. So if you've got MP3 files on a USB stick or a memory stick or locally on the head unit, then you can play them using this app here. Unfortunately, it doesn't interact with installed applications like Spotify, so maybe that's an update that EKIY can push out later. And then finally, this little pink widget down here is the FM radio, and if we tap this, you can see it's nice and easy to use. And actually the tuner, the radio tuner in this seems to be quite a bit more powerful than some of the other Android head units that I've run. It seems to pick up more stations, and they are clearer, which is interesting. And the other thing that you guys always want me to tell you about is whether or not it has RDS, where it shows you the station name, and it actually does on the preset buttons. So it doesn't up here, but if you have a look on my preset buttons, you can see Radio 2, KISS, Smooth, Radio 1. You can actually see the names on here. That was automatic. So yes, it does have RDS, and that's cool. Right, let's talk about Speeed. Obviously, this is their flagship head unit. So it does pack a punch. You do have the 7862A octa-core CPU. We know that CPU to be one of the fastest that you can get in Android head unit, so that's great. Then you have a massive 8 GB of memory in this, and all of that is on Android 10. So let's do the normal speed check. We'll start with Spotify and see how long it takes to load. Pretty much instantaneous, as we are used to with this particular processor. Again, you only really get this in the very best head unit, so EKIY scores lots of points for that. Okay, let's try Waze. Yeah, it's again, pretty much instantaneous. It's phone/tablet speeds, something which is just fantastic. This is a head unit which you'll have absolutely no issues running all of your apps on with no difficulties whatsoever. Speed is fantastic. Right, let's talk about features. This is an Android head unit, obviously, which means it has a load of functionality which you just don't get with the big main brands, such as we go into the apps, you'll see that I have things like Netflix, so that you can watch all your Netflix shows, or we can watch YouTube to your heart's content. You also have other video inputs. You have your high definition reverse camera here, which is part of the 360 parking system, which I will show you now actually. So as you can see, you can actually see all the way around the car here. I did make a recording of myself driving the car with the 360 system, just having a look around, seeing how accurate it is, how functional it is, how good it looks, and I was extremely happy with the result. In fact, this is almost equal to the quality of the TI's head unit. It is that good, and for the price point of this particular unit, that's very good indeed. One of the other main features, of course, is the DVR system itself, which is this thing here, and it does allow you to have a rear camera as well. It comes with a front and rear facing camera. It records onto a memory card in the actual camera itself, so if you do buy the DVR system, remember you need a memory card for that to function. But you can see it and you can watch all the playback from within this application. You don't need to use the little window like I have. You can actually run it full screen as well if you'd rather do that. One of the other things that EKIY sent me was the tyre pressure monitoring system, which was just 4 things which you screw onto the caps of each of your tyres, and then you open the app and it's going to show you what the tyre pressures are in all of your tyres. And I really love to have this kind of feature. You obviously get this on modern cars by default, but this Saab is quite old, and of course it doesn't have anything like that, and it's just nice to have. If any of these do drop below a set amount, I think I've set mine to like 25 psi, it will alarm. It will come up on the screen and said you need to put some air in this tyre. So it's a really good functional thing. I really like this. Okay, so we'll have a quick look at Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, starting with Apple CarPlay. So we're going to connect the Bluetooth of the iPhone to SYU Android, which is this head unit. Go to Apps and then CarLink 2.0. And this is what wireless Apple CarPlay looks like. And as you can see, it looks absolutely perfect. It looks really bright and vivid, really easy to read. It's nice and sharp. And the maps and the other apps just look absolutely fine. So we'll look at Android Auto now. Again, we're just Bluetoothing the phone to SYU Android, and then we go to Apps, CarLink 2.0. And there we go, nice new style of Android Auto. And there's Android Auto working exactly as you would intend it to, and it's completely wireless as well, so awesome. Let's talk about car integration and how easy it is to fit into your car. Now, EKIY do actually make these head units for specific vehicles. So if you buy a product from EKIY for a particular vehicle, they're going to send you everything you need. They're going to send you the dash trims, they'll send you the canvas decoders and the looms. It will all be plug and play. Lovely. Now, this was a universal installation. I just got them to send me the head unit and I did everything else. So all that was involved for myself was to plug in the ISO adapter into the back of it, and a couple of additional wires, key 1 and key 2, to have the steering wheel controls to work. And that was pretty much it. That's how I installed it. And to make the steering wheel controls work, all I needed to do was to go into Apps and go into SWC, steering wheel controls, and you can literally press a button on the steering wheel. It says please select learning function, and then you can press something else and program them in. It's as simple as that. So all of my controls work absolutely fine, and it took no hassle whatsoever to get that done. One of the other things that you might want to do to make it look a little bit more integrated in the car is change the color of the capacitive touch buttons over here. Obviously they illuminate into a specific color. At the moment I have mine rotating through several colors, which you probably can't see because it's very bright in here. But if you wanted it a specific color, for example, Saab is green inside. So if I go into the settings, I go into general and I scroll down to lantern settings. At the moment it's on automatic loop, so I can switch that off. And then I can put green, and that's going to make the icons green. Again, you probably can't see that, but they are actually green right now. Now the EKIY unit is a advanced CAM head unit, and what that means is if you have a compatible car which has climate controls which can be integrated into it and other features which can be integrated into the CAM network, they will display on the screen, and you will be able to control or view your climate control settings on the screen of this unit. It is going to show you if you have your doors open or things like that if you have a compatible car. This is an old car, so none of that is actually capable of this, but I do get my steering wheel controls, and that's all I really want. All right, so let's talk about the big one, which is sound quality. So if we go into apps and then equalizer, we can see it has a 16-band graphic equalizer, and that's plenty. So you've got all the bass control and the treble control, and you can set it up exactly how you want it. And honestly, it does sound fantastic. The DSP that this has, digital signal processor that this has, is great, and it gives you all the control that you want. It does sound fantastic in this car. High points from that perspective. If we go into field, you have your standard fade and balance. Surround actually gives you the ability to individually control the delay to each speaker, which is again something that's really great. Bass enhancement allows you to control the volume of specific frequencies of sound, which is great. And if you have a look up here, you have a subwoofer icon, and you can control your subwoofer from here as well. And I do have an aftermarket subwoofer connected to this, and it does work absolutely fine. And bass filter allows you to actually limit the frequency of both the front and the rear speakers individually if you're looking to just block out some of those frequencies from those speakers. So all in all, the EKIY is probably going to give you all the control that you really want for your car. It's going to make it sound amazing, especially if you have aftermarket audio and you want to do that additional tweaking. This is going to allow you to do that, which is absolutely fantastic. So from a sound perspective, brilliant. And that's about it. If I've missed anything, or if there's any other questions that you have on this head unit, please ask in the comment section below, and I will try to answer them as soon as possible. And if there's any other brands of head unit that you want me to have a look, just let me know and I'll see what I can do about that. If you like this kind of content, please do subscribe to my channel. I've got loads more stuff coming up in the future.